Arek has definitely been doing great work around gamification. In fact, he was the Gamification Software of the Year. That was back in, I'm trying to remember the year, I'm not sure.
2018, I believe, and that's for
2018.
Just me.
That was in Amsterdam, right?
Yes, Amsterdam.
There you go. There you go. He's also episode 171, if you're interested in listening to his chat on Professor Game. Arek is the founder of Gamehill, and a fantastic platform, who is also somebody we need to thank for today, because he is one of the sponsors of the learning, of the Gamification of Learning Day in Gamification Europe. Gamehill is definitely a sponsor and is here to bring us some very interesting value. And of course, I also need to make sure I introduce Pete. Pete, who's going to be participating in this one as well with Arek. And I could say that Pete doesn't need any introduction, but definitely has an introduction. He is many things. He is the founder of Gamification Plus. He is the founder of Gamification Europe, not only 2022, but since 2017. So almost 5 years going strong here with the conference, doing many fantastic things. He used to be as well chair of Gamification Confederation. So Pete, I leave you and Arek to take the floor and have a great rest of the talk. I'll be looking at it very attentively.
Thank you. Thank you, Rob, for the introduction.
Thanks, Rob.
How is the audio? Is everything good?
All good.
Okay.
Hi, Arek. Thank you so much for, well, look, first of all, I'm just going to say thanks for Gamehill sponsoring and being a headline sponsor for today. These days don't happen without sponsors.
Yeah.
So I'm delighted to be interviewing you. And I've got a bunch of questions. You sent me some, but I've got some more as well. You know, keep you on your toes. And also, I'll keep an eye on the chat and see if anyone comes up with interesting questions there.
Yeah.
Okay. So look, I'll start off, because you're in Poland. I better ask, how are things there? I know you've been busy.
Well, yes. I mean, we all know what's happening, and we feel it's horrible. We don't want to burden you today. We want to take a little bit out into the gamification world, but it is happening. And what I wanted to share simply is, you know, you have the horrible stuff, and then you have the bravery of Ukrainian heroes. But this is greatly supported by them knowing that, you know, their wives, their children are safe in countries like, you know, Romania, Poland, Slovakia, and all the neighbors. And I really wanted to share two things. One is the power of spontaneous, just, you know, grassroots movement of people opening their hearts and homes, literally, and sometimes offices. And that's, I haven't seen anything like that in my life, and I'm seeing it firsthand, you know, doing some volunteering work. And also as Gamehill, we've sort of got rid of our offices. We used to have an office in a beautiful detached house with a great garden, and now we have 4 families from Ukraine there, 9 children altogether, 7 of them already in school in Poland. And the one thing I was, you know, mindful of bringing when they arrived, what do you bring? You know, you bring some food, some basic supplies, obviously bed. Actually, I wanted to perhaps share my presentation if that's possible.
Yeah, of course it is. Yeah. So you should have a little plus button for add source.
Yeah. I'm doing that just now. And yes, you might see, hopefully, our office is turned into a refugee safe house. Is that visible?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And what I brought, apart from, you know, bread and supplies, I brought board games, because board games is something that can help you even in such crazy situation. It takes your mind off. It engages people between cultures. We were able to play together in a game designed by some, you know, German guy. And I think that's worth mentioning, that for me, playing some strategic games helped me understand on the bigger picture what's happening, and on the low level, it engages you and takes your mind off of the difficult times. So I think, yeah, there we go. Games help everywhere.
got to ask, did you play more cooperative board games or competitive? You know, what sort of spirit were you going for?
The best board game that I recommended to these newcomers from Ukraine was I don't know the English name, it's German, but it's about turtles trying to get to the lettuce. The board has like 7 spots. so you basically unwrap this game and you think, what is it? There's nothing going on. It's just like, 4 or 5 pawns and this tiny little board. And then you can play it for, hours in ages from 5 to 90, and everyone is on the same page. So it is a bit competitive, but it's more fun. And so amazing how good design, can in small form bring out so much joy, and that is amazing.
That's great. As Nick in the chat says, hopefully not Monopoly.
No, no.
Very much not relevant.
No, it is not.
But, so, thanks. It's great to hear such a positive story already out of what you're doing in Poland. It's such a big gamification community there as well, of which Gamehill has been a big part for the past few years. Your area is particularly around learning experience platforms, would you say? Yeah. Could you define what that means to you?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so basically, when we discovered gamification, like I dare to say together, because we've been in this field for a long time. I think 2013 was the first something that we've implemented with clients. We thought, wow, this is a game changer, and it will take over whole learning, corporate learning world. It did not happen. It did not happen. The classic corporate e-learning platforms have been there for a long time, and they are still today. And there is many reasons for that. And the main differences between those was that the e-learning platform is designed with an administrator in mind, believe it or not, but it's designed with people being able to efficiently, that's a keyword, efficiently dump some stuff, some learning stuff on people, sorry for being direct, and then retrieving as good reports and information from them as quickly as possible, ideally plugging them into a SAP system or other management systems. So that's how the e-learning systems were in the majority of that. I don't want to offend anyone, but majority of those. And then there was gamification, which was like this old kids saying, guys, no, we can have fun and have efficient learning. Let's do it. But people didn't, or especially big clients that I work with, that were skeptical and were not very buying that idea. And learning experience platforms is a move, I think, starting from the camp of e-learning platforms that is finally thinking, okay, well, at the end of this wonderful platforms of ours, there is a person trying to, upskill, learn new stuff because the world is changing and they need stuff. And let's perhaps give them a better experience, an experience that is similar to what they have from their, private apps or anything they use as a private person. So why not give them something good for the corporate learning experience? And that's why I believe learning experience platforms is the meeting of the old school e-learning and some and more elements from the gamification community, but not only. Things we believe that are parts of learning experience platforms are, stuff like microlearning. That's a whole huge topic we could discuss. And I believe last year on Gamification Europe, it was discussed as an important element. So, bits and pieces of learning rather than huge modules. And then mobile learning, being able to use your device wherever you go. And adaptive learning, that's something I'd like to come back to, because that I think is huge. Adaptive learning is finally coming out of age and being reasonably, accessible to be used generally. And then gamification, last but not least, which obviously we love and understand as the game mechanics. So the storylines, the exploration. We use 30 plus game mechanics in our platforms, so I would be, it would take time to mention all of them, but hopefully this community appreciates the gamification. So learning experience platform is the finally the combination of the two. Yeah. And
that's very cool. I like that bit about actually one of the first things you said about how they're often aimed at admin people, not user-centric. And I still see that in so many platforms now, like especially if they start talking about a dashboard for management or supervisors, you pretty much know they're going to go that way. I'd be interested to see what people think and put their comments in the chat as well. Look, what are some, go on, carry on, you're on flow.
No, there is this graph I wanted to share because it's quite fresh from January 2022, and this, you might know what's the name of the Gartner hype cycle. It's applicable through many different industries, but also our learning industry as well. And as you can see, so this basically works for those who haven't seen it yet. It basically works this way, that there is a hype, there's a new early exploration of technologies, then there is hype, everyone is excited, everyone's talking about it on conferences, then there is this valley of despair, as they call. So it's basically, okay, great, but well, it's too modern for us, we don't know how to adapt it. And then it slowly grows behind the scenes sometimes and matures. And gamification at the moment, according to this Learn Geek chap, is actually quite mature solution at the moment. And I do believe that as well, because as mentioned, for us it's 9 years already in the making. So yeah, it's time. So it means that people are already comfortable using this, and the learning experience platforms are in this. They are just finished their hype, the highest hype. So last year was all about learning experience platforms, and it still a bit is, hence our chat. But they have some work to do. And then if you combine all those, mobile learning, social learning, micro learning, learning science, and gamification, then something beautiful comes out of it. So I strongly believe that. Yeah. I wanted to share this graph with you because it's fresh and it shows how it works. The future reality is about to get as a downfall a bit, but it will come out.
I think you're right. Gamification is definitely at that stage of being adopted, and learning experience platforms are catching up. So you mentioned you've been doing this for 9 years. Yeah. What's changed? What are the most recent developments and directions, as well as what you've just been saying?
So two main fields, really. There's we still try to make it the gamified experience as great as it possibly can. So the stories are getting better and the visuals are getting better, but that's not really new. We've sort of, sorry, dare to say, we've been strong in that department, but the real novelty is a bit behind the scenes. And that's adaptive learning, and that's been in talks for a while, but now we finally can utilize it in learning platforms. I think it's wonderful for the person learning, for the user. So you have this adaptive repetition, which you have a platform that is accessible for like 500 people, yeah, and then are Johns and Susannas, whatever the names I should name. And as we know, majority of the content is designed and provided for them by the designer, which is, let me just take a small step back, because this designing the learning path as a main idea is actually a good thing, because we want to avoid what I call the Netflix effect, which is like when you sit in front of your screen and try to agree between you and your partner and your children what to watch, and then 20 minutes later you're so tired of this paradox of choice. There's so many things to choose from that your time slot has passed. And so with learning, we strongly believe that we actually should suggest the learning path for the players. So build the story that is tailored for them, but it's extremely difficult. So first you tailor for the group, for the managers or the salespeople or whoever needs them, or onboarding the newcomers. But then you have adaptive elements, and adaptive elements go down onto personal level. So the repetition, the smart repetition model we have, and some platforms are starting to have, is actually creates this repetition at the end of each mission that is different for Pete and different for Arek and different for Rob. And it's quite amazing. It's obviously done through some artificial intelligence and machine learning algorithms, but it's amazing to see that you can finally have something designed to you in a world that is like corporate, and by definition you are a member of a large group that someone put you in. And then there's also adaptive content that elements of that. So again, there is a basic curriculum that we believe with the designing team, that's what you need. But then there are elements that adapt to you personally based on your choices. And this could be in a format, because some people like puzzles, some like quizzes, others prefer to learn from simulations, like talking to someone, and then some prefer ebooks or infographics. And if you are giving a choice and then you choose, let's say, infographic twice, or it's more complicated than that, then if the system has a choice of format for this topic, they will provide you with the format that you prefer to learn from, and you learn better from. This is quite amazing stuff. And adaptive feedback is just this, again, taken from games. Games provide lots of feedback, but the typical computer systems don't provide you with much feedback.
Quick question for you there, Arek.
Yeah.
So you've hinted at how the adaptive feedback is working with the game mechanics, and that you're going to give the types of games that the users enjoy. And my question for you is, have they selected that, and are they actually accurate? Do they choose the right types of game mechanics, the one they really enjoy, or do you select it based on their behavior?
Okay. So again, we are coming back to this paradox of choice, and the main fundamental belief that we have is that users enjoy, think about it, playing the game, not necessarily designing the game. So if you had a game and the first step was for you to design the game, not everyone would be excited. Probably quite a large percentage of our viewers today would be excited because we are in this sort of environment, but people just want to play the game. So the answer to your question is no, we don't ask them directly, please design the experience for yourself. It's indirect. So based on their behavior, it adapts to some extent. It's not science fiction yet, but based on their choices, but not asking them, directly, which format do you prefer? It's just showing you two pieces of stuff, and I like that, and then register that and adapt. Did I?
You did. That was a great answer, I think. In fact, what sort of impact are you seeing? Have you managed to roll this out to clients yet?
Well, yes. So the impacts are, sometimes the feedback we get from clients is on several levels. First of all, after each task, there is a place where you can provide feedback, and that's actually been quite astonishing. And first of all, they love micro learning. Any formats, we always ask them which formats you like the most, where, again, quizzes, simulations, ebooks, whatever. And to my surprise, actually, it splits almost evenly between 8, 9, 10 formats that we've applied. So yeah, people like variety and micro-learning. That's the first feedback we get from. I always like to show real case.
Go for it, if you've got one.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I'm just going to do some very maverick stuff and just go and show you, live, proper, like this is actual project that is going on. And this one is actually quite mature. This is for very busy people in some bank. And they've been on this platform, and now that is amazing stuff. So they've been on this platform for 14 months. 14 months constantly, week in, week out. So every week we provide them with new, micro-learning things and tasks and challenges. 14 months, very busy people. And if you ask for feedback, there you go. So we have, sorry, that's in Polish, but thanks to this wonderful Google Translator, I can switch it into English right now.
So 5 stars is pretty good in any language.
Yes, and you have 2,536 times where people asked, and it wasn't obligatory. You don't have to star. You don't have to mark the experience, but you can. So that's how they provided us with. And out of 176 people, 80% of those, after 14 months, completed majority of the tasks provided. Yeah, and there were like 40,000 tasks altogether, but on average, where is it? Average player completed 232 tasks. That's a lot, again, in any language, I guess. And that shows you that you can play the same game. I've been playing the mobile game Clash Royale for 6 years now, an adult. I'm not getting bored because good game mechanics keep you, locked into this world. So yeah, that's the feedback. You asked for feedback, you got it.
Yeah.
I've shared some.
I'm going to ask from a practical point of view. What's how big is your team in order to create content every week for 14 months? What sort of skills are needed within that sort of gamification project team? Yeah,
so we're already seeing some sort of specializations or sub-teams, because you have the game mechanics, and that's closest to my heart. And then you have the IT team and the machine learning team. That's, very specialized area of expertise, people, dealing with the adaptive learning. And then you have new media team, the people who design all those, we call them new media team. They are the wonderful, but that's, in our case, it's 3 people who create content every week for quite a number of clients. And they have fun with that. They've been doing this for, we don't have rotation in a team in this part. They love creating micro learning, so it's a lot of fun. But it's also some effort on the client's part, because those micro learnings are created based on materials provided by the clients. So it's a joint effort, and it's a lots of fun.
So you do need a client that's on board with providing you enough content to work on, and then put your magic on it. This looks nice. What's this? Tell us about this.
That's actually that's the one that you can actually go and click on. It's like a demo version that you can just log into the world, the Gamehill.com, and just play with it. Just find out, learn about. I think for the community here, it would be great, just to decode the game mechanics that you're seeing. Because there's so many of them. There's this, nice lady in the corner, and she's a guide, and people form a personal connection almost with her. She calls you by your name, and over a few months of playing in this world, you actually are somehow connected to her. And then in the left hand corner, you have this social element that says, "Oh, Anna just logged in, and you're not alone here." And then you have pro tip of the day, which is a fun thing. Whenever you are the first one to log in onto the platform, just the first person on that day, you have a choice of 3. It could be quotes or it could be pro tips. And Anna was the first one to log in that day, and she chose this one for all of us. So I get some points from reading it, but Anna has the status of her name being displayed for everyone that she was the first one. And then you can, enter those worlds and see. Well, in this case, we are sort of rebuilding monuments on each continent. So it's a bit exploratory. Sorry. But then you may go to a platform, when you're streaming live with video, and then in the other window you have YouTube streaming you back. I guess my computer is not up for that much of a challenge. So I think I'll go back to the slides because they don't stream. But, the things we do is we always try to have some kind of travel across continents, across the different islands, across like European cities or wherever you want to take people, because 10% of people love Star Wars, or even 15, and then 20% love Lord of the Rings, but then 60% people are not bothered by that. And if you have a storyline that's based on some spy story traveling across places, then pretty much everyone can get behind that. And it could be more funny, like lightweight, like this, even if we have this one for kids actually, and with all the same principles. But then you can go to Deloitte and have quite serious business environments for them, and some serious business environments, but still the game mechanics are there and the adaptive learning mechanics are there. So yeah, and it just works. This is another case study. We've had another long term, again 12 months. And 100% engagement you can get with some marketing, whatever. You can fake it. I mean, you can trick people into engagement, but you cannot trick people into completing 76% of all the tasks available, because that requires sustainable, not effort, but engagement. Yeah. So there you go.
The playtime there is interesting to me. The 22 hours. If you think about some of the big video games, you can complete them in 20 hours. So you've obviously got a lot of game mechanics and content going on. Yeah,
there needs to be some stuff. And as you mentioned, you've asked, so you need to have a client who provides the content. That could be, and it's quite easy with the onboarding, because the company typically has plenty of stuff that they need to onboard a person with and provide them with. So that there's a lot of materials. But when it comes to, for example, soft skills training and stuff like that, we have like 600 micro-learning portions already in our library, so you can utilize that. We just, you can easily design the learning path for your people, and then it can adapt for your specific people on the go. And so you don't have to produce content in the project. In a gamification project, we could use a library of materials, but and also
we're it's such a great chat. We're about to run out of time, yeah. So I've got one more question, inspired by this. Like you mentioned, joint effort. So my question for you is, what would make the perfect client for Gamehill? What are you looking for in a client? I want a bit of insight from that.
We've started with large corporations, but now we are ready to work with much smaller entities, and because now the backstage and all the software is so well designed and rounded that it's quite actually easy to design a project. So we can now have we've had projects for 30 people, we've had projects for 50 people. And then we had projects for 2,000 people. Yes, so we are quite flexible. What we need from you is a bit of an open mind and some imagination. We'll direct you because we've been doing this for a number of years. I just wanted to say that there are also tasks and challenges that you can, users can share. So this was the remote workplace, because the purpose of this gamification was a new culture of working in remotely. So there you go. It can be believe it or not, this is an actual picture. It's not a game rendering. It's a picture of their offices. So there you go, the modern offices, but now they need to be shelters for refugees sometimes. Anyways, so just be open, be mindful of user experience. Be mindful, if you want to do something amazing for the learners, we will do a great project for the learners. You will have plenty of admin. Don't get me wrong, that's something we caught up with. There's plenty of statistics for you to have, and the admin panel is really, really good. But have a user in mind, and we'll create a great project.
Brilliant. Thanks so much. It's been fascinating chatting to you, Arek.